Let's go.
Welcome back,
I wake up to a
Neo
little bit of
family.
drool
How
on
are
my
we
pillow,
doing,
feel like
guys?
it's gonna
God bless each and every single one of you guys coming in here. We're going to be talking about Neo stock. That's right, Neo. And we're going to talk about why we believe it could finally stop being poop, right? It might actually see a bid. What are some bottoming signals and what are some price targets that I'm watching for next week? A lot has happened on this stock, but not a lot has happened on this stock. It's very strange. It's very unique to Neo. So make sure to stay until the end of the video, guys. Like the video and slap the subscribe button if you guys want to see me cover more Neo stock, family. All right, jumping off the bat, you can see already, right, bullish div on Neo stock, making an equal low to slightly lower low on the price, but the RSI is making a technical higher high or higher low, and a pretty sharp one at that, right? That is something to behold on Neo stock that does make me slightly bullish, right, going into next week. Now, looking at the shorter time frame, you do have this very intact falling broadening wedge. Now, if you guys have been paying attention to our Neo analysis, you know that we have this stubborn freaking gap, right? The one right here and the one right here. You have not filled either. This one's currently at 4. What is that? 459, and this one is 498. I do believe you're going to fill one of those two. And let me explain to you which one I think that is. I think you're going to fill this bad boy right here, 498. And I think once you fill that, traders, that is going to be your low on the stock, and that this thing has another leg higher in it. And not only that, I think it's going to break out. I do. I think when you look at the thing, when you look at the stock and how it's trading, this is very reminiscent of back here, right? You're seeing bullish divergence, you're seeing the bearish volume decrease, and you're seeing a gap be filled. Pretty much the exact same thing that happened back here, right? The exact same thing. Volume coming down, bullish divergence, even though you're making a lower low, and then you filled this gap. In doing so, you created another gap. So we're not going to talk about it, but what I expect going into next week is I expect this thing to kind of peel back into the lower daily Bollinger Band. Now you have both bands squeezing, not particularly crazy, but they are squeezing. I anticipate you're going to kind of peel back to this golden uptrend, right? Because not only do you have the lower Bollinger Band, you have the gap fill, and you have this freaking uptrend, guys. That is 3 rows of technical confluence on what I'm about to say. I think you're about to come up to 495 to $5, right? You may see a slight dip below this uptrend, but as long as you close above it, traders, that is all we care about. I think it's likely, right? I do. And I think once you do that, I hope it's a Band-Aid rip, because I hope that that would be your low. That's going to be your bottom if you can hold this strength on Neo stock, hold this bullish div, and fill that gap. Now, that is not even the best thing. I want to do a little bit more due diligence. Just taking a little peeky-weeky on Robinhood. Neo stock is now, according to Robinhood analyst ratings, right? 72% buy, 25% hold, and a 3.1% sell as the short interest continues to climb on the stock. That's bullish, right? That's bullish in my opinion. So just want to add that in there. I thought that was pretty interesting to look at. I want to cover as well, not just on the daily time frame, but I want to cover the weekly. So if we jump into Neo on the weekly time frame, you can also see here that the Bollinger Bands are still squeezing even on the weekly time frame. But the biggest thing on the weekly is, even if I get rid of the Bollinger Bands, look at where you are, right? Let's just zoom out. Look at where you are, guys. Not to mention the formation that you've created. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. Literally pitch perfect inverted head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. Pitch perfect inverted head and shoulders, right? You took the profit target from that, and that took you at least all the way up to $25. You had an extension upwards of 65, right? You saw some crazy, crazy price action on NEO stock. You're now seeing what could be your official bottom on NEO stock. I believe personally that if you see this thing bounce with conviction, with volume, and with technical confluence, right, filling the gap, I think that this is going to be your bottom before breaking this uptrend and testing 771. Because in case you guys are not aware, we do have this very stubborn downtrend coming all the way from July of 2023 into this touch. So now you're hopefully going to test it right around that stubborn 625 resistance that you wicked off of here, 627, right? So if you do see that tap along this trend line next week, traders, in my opinion, not financial advice, right? I'm not a financial advisor. I just love to chart stocks. I'm a Crayola crayon, DD, love an ape. And I think if you come down here, traders, I personally am probably going to buy shares because that is going to be an amazing opportunity. But like we said, right, the last 4 weeks of trading have been a nothing burger because you've had 4 weeks of descending volume, right? Even though you're down, what's the total? You're down 15% across a month of trading. The last 4 weeks, you've seen lessening volume. That means something big is in the works, right? When you see that on the stock, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, you then saw a wick from that candle up 20% in the next week. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. That's just the most recent scenario in which you had bearish volume decreasing 4 weeks in a row. But what I am watching here is the potential test of 498 as well as the macro, right? You zoom out. When in doubt, you zoom out and you look how good this freaking chart looks, guys. Not only do you have the daily bullish div, but you have the same exact pattern that sets you up, right? Same exact inverted head and shoulders with the downsloping resistance, inverted head and shoulders, downsloping resistance. And what did you do, right? You found your bounce. This is the kind of bounce I want to see out of NEO next week after you fill that gap. Let's say it happens Monday. You fill the gap Monday. You see a wick down. Everyone's freaking out. NEO's dead. And it's never going higher. I want to see an 11% hammer candle. I want to see a 20% candle after that, an 8% consolidation, 8% up, 18%, 21, 40, 20, 5, 35, right? This is the kind of price action I want to see out of NEO going into the end of the month. I want to see this thing begin to get ballistic. And truthfully, traders, even if you take a local time frame look at NEO stock, this is such an obvious cup and handle formation playing out here. So even if, right, you think that you don't believe in the inverted head and shoulders, even the short term looks amazing, right? The weekly probably gets me the most jacked, but the monthly time frame, traders, you have something unique, a very interesting situation going on, because the last time you made your bottom back here, you broke out from the monthly RSI band that marked your bottom low at about 334, right? Before you saw this 3 white soldiers formation here, you then saw the retest of this RSI band, guys, right? Well, just look at it. Look at the RSI band here. In fact, where are my shades? Look at that RSI band, guys. It is literally cooking brighter than the sun. I can barely see. You're then retesting it a second time. If history remains true and NEO stock is bullish here, you're going to see this thing bounce in this month, right? You should see a nice sized launch off of this uptrend and hopefully close the month out green. That's our goal, because you open the month at 573. Closing above 573 leads to a breakout, in my opinion, of this downsloping resistance and a test of 771. That test of 771, traders, as we've spoken about before, is the most important macro test on this stock's history. Let me tell you why, right? You tested it here, you tested it here, you tested it here, rejected it here. And then 771 was what broke you out of right here. Your close was 772, right? So last time you closed above 771 on the monthly, just look what happened, right? Look at the extension. And then you go to the weekly time frame, right? And this is where it gets even more obvious that 771 is that pain in your neck. You closed 770 here, a penny beneath 771 on the weekly. And that was our whole thesis, right? If you can close on the weekly above 771, this thing is officially broken out. You got so close, but we did not call it a breakout yet. We're still freaking waiting. Patiently, too. I do believe that the best is yet to come on this stock. I am bullish. I am accumulating. And I'm hoping that this is a higher low. Because if this is a higher low, there's some very clear expectation that I have for the stock, or some very clear signals that I want to see flare off. Volume, bounce on the RSI, and this gap fill to go away. If you accomplish that, traders, the rest is history. It should just play out, right? Wish it was that easy. 4-hour time frame showing a little bit heavier of that bullish divergence. Jeez, right? Look at that equal low on the stock, significant higher low on the RSI in the 4-hour. That's a good look. That is a good look going into next week. Let's see. Weekly time frame, you did close below on the weekly MACD. That's never a good thing, but we shall see how you look next week. And the daily time frame really outlines it's do or die, right? You're going to have the 9-day EMA slam into you on the daily time frame. You have gaps above you, below you, and you have volume pretty much at a stalemate. You are at critical support, guys. If you fail to hold this, you're coming back to that juicy freaking gap fill like we talked about. There's no ands, if, or buts about it, right? Failure to hold 514, guys. 514 is your point. 512 is your point to hold next week. Because if you do not hold that, right, there is a 0% chance that you're going to find this bounce and hopefully fill these gaps, right? You have a gap at 597. 568. And then also, don't forget the gap you left back at 711, right? So these are all very, very real technical artifacts that have been left by the stock. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating, traders, to see what you're going to do next week. I will cover NEO at some freaking point along the week because I do think next week is going to be big. I have kind of focused my pearls on AMC because AMC is doing something it has not done in a very long time. NEO's time will come too, traders. I don't want you guys to feel like I'm neglecting the NEO community. In fact, far from, right? We are excited. We are bullish. And I do believe the best is yet to come. IWM, traders, you saw another all-time high. What is happening? What is happening here? Our thesis is coming to fruition. Can't stop, won't stop. IWM ETF, baby. As you can see, another higher high on the stock after a false breakout. And it came off with some news, right? Trump is saying that an Iran peace deal could be signed tomorrow. Whether or not that happens, I have no idea. But hopefully the Strait of Hormuz can open up and you can see this thing crack 300 for the first time in its freaking history, guys. That has been our thesis for the last 6 to 8 months, that this thing is going to crack 300 and is going to aid a run on NEO, AMC, GameStop, right? That's exactly what you're seeing. And you saw a beautiful pullback to the 50 on the daily EMA, 50-day EMA, and then a freaking wicked bounce to a new all-time high, guys. So pat yourself on the back and get ready for a bullish week. I really think we're gonna be bullish. Look at the volume breakout here on IWM. I expect continuation into 300. Maybe you see a little bit of hesitancy at 300, but I don't care. I think it's going to be a green week. I think it's going to be a good week. Unless something happens. Let's just take a quick little peeky weeky at IWM on the RSI, because that may give us some signals on whether or not to be bullish or not. Okay, I'm a little bit more bearish. All right, so you've made 1, 2, 3, 4 touches of bearish divergence on IWM. What is that, you may ask? Well, that is 1 lower high, 1 higher high. 2 lower highs, 3 higher highs. 4 higher highs, 4 lower highs. 5. That's crazy, man. 5 touches of this bearish div. Not a great look on IWM. That could come to bite us in the butt, guys. We got to be careful with that, genuinely. However, if you break this RSI downtrend, things can get freaking crazy. They really can. Because just like NEO, IWM's kind of in this very weird... oops, I did not mean to pull out fibs right now. IWM's in this very weird kind of like falling broadening wedge. Right? Am I the only one seeing that? That's kind of crazy. Very, very weird falling broadening wedge on the RSI. And if you break that, traders, you're going to the bull zone on IWM. That would be significantly bullish. But until then, we're slightly bearish on IWM. I did not expect to say that. But you've now made so many different touches of bearish divergence. This could easily just keel over. So we'll have to continue to watch. I assume it's going to go to 300 before anything, but expect some serious resistance at 300, guys. I think that's all I got for the day. God bless each and every single one of you guys. I hope you had a fan-freaking-tastic Saturday outside, right? Get outside. Go do some errands. Makes you feel better. God bless each and every single one of you guys and your families. And remember, traders, the best is yet to come. I believe in NEO so freaking heavily. And I hope that can be infectious for you guys. Peace.